Well, it snowed last night. And I've shaken up my yellow paint. And just let me sit down here and I'll explain why. Checked my comments. And in the comments, somebody suggested that if I was to add a little bit of yellow to this green, it might give me more what we're looking for. In other words, more of an olive color. I mean, you know, what have I got to lose? I've always got more gray and the regular green here. Guess I better get this thing back up out of the way before I hurt myself. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's see what happens here. Oh, by the way, the pipettes, nice and clean. Now I don't think we're going to be needing Stefan's book here for a little while. Uh-oh. Blue tack stuck on the book. I didn't think that stuff was supposed to stick on paper. Made a little stain too. Well, I'll have to remember not to do that again. Now, I want to add a couple of drops of yellow to this green. So this is XF3 flat yellow. I think we've used it before, but I can't remember what for. Oh, do you remember yesterday I was saying that this is the first time I'd used this paint? That's not true. When I was practicing with the airbrush, months ago now, I used this, and I was wondering how come when I opened it up it was down so far. And so I assumed that because it was down so far, and yet it was supposed to be a new bottle, a new jar, well, I thought, okay, it hasn't been thinned yet, but, you know, it was thinned. Anyway. Now, Tony suggested that we just add a drop or two at a time and then stir it. Now, there is very, very little in there. So, I think probably just maybe one drop is going to change it considerably. And there's no use drawing this way up into the pipette, because it'll be just that much more sticking to the inside that I'm going to lose, if you know what I mean. So we'll just a little bit here. That's probably more than I need. Okay, we'll give it 2 drops to start. 1, 2. You know what? I forgot to get myself fresh, hot, soapy water here. Okay, we'll mix this up and see what it looks like. Well, a couple of sips of coffee later, and I got my hot soapy water here, and I did shake this up. Now, I do notice a bit of a difference. I'm going to just add a couple more drops and then we'll call it quits. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Well, I do believe it's a little bit different. It's a little bit more olivey. I added 2 more drops of yellow. Maybe 2.5 drops. Kind of hard to tell there. How do you add half a drop? Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to repaint the seats. I was going to give them a second coat anyway. And in the back here, I was noticing on Stefan's drawings, it looks like the, you know, where the back of the seat would be, it should be green there too. So I'm going to see if I can't just go up a bit, you know, where the back of the seat is, if you know what I mean. Well, you'll see. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And one thing I wanted to draw to your attention here, you'll notice that when the paint dried, this acrylic paint dries very quickly, like about 10 minutes I guess it passed before I put this in the hot soapy water. And yes, it did do a good job of getting the paint out of the inside where it was still liquidy, but once it dries, it it doesn't want to come off too good. Okay, so there may well be paint on the inside, just inside the nozzle there. So in order for this system to work, you've got to wash out your pipette right away. In this case, I was thinking I might want to reuse it, which I did. And yeah, so. Okay, here we go with our new green. So much for just doing it off camera, right? Now I want it to go up the back. Uh-oh. Maybe that's not such a good idea. Why am I seeing brown right in the middle there? Well, it's much brighter. The green is much brighter. It's going to show up better. I'm not going to add any more yellow. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's going to have to do. And for those of you who are wondering about the pipette, well, I got it pretty clean here. Now that gives you a perspective as to just how small these little parts are and why it's so hard to, to paint them. And also, as I mentioned to one of the viewers in a comment this morning, that you can have one of these little parts right in front of you and not see it. No, I'm not talking about this boat. I'm talking about the propeller. Okay, I've got it mounted on the side of the jar at a bit of an angle. Reason being is I'm going to try these Tamiya mini Q-tips that Jim sent me and see if possibly they might work for something like this. Now I don't know. And I think, if I mess it up real bad, I can always just paint the whole thing brown again and start all over again. But possibly where I don't have to paint around something, excuse me, like where these vents are here on the top, I think the brush is probably going to work best on those. But this, where you just sort of want to, poke it on, it might work. Now, if I remember right, the paint has a tendency to wick itself right into the main body of this thing. Okay. Now obviously I've got a lot on there right now, but unlike a felt marker, it just doesn't seem to want to come off very good. You know what? I'm going to go to the brush.
I'm trying not to get it on the roof. Maybe I should be leaving well enough alone here, but it seems like it's a little bit thin right there. Whoops. Got it on the roof. Okay. Well, maybe I could touch that up after. Okay, now I think when that dries, it's going to shrink. And then these 4 tie downs or whatever they are, I'll paint them red. Maybe. We'll see what happens here. We'll just see how this looks now after it dries. Now these 2 things here, this one and this one, are supposed to represent those vents. I imagine probably to get the fumes and everything out of where I believe the engine is here. And right now, I don't know if I should try. Yeah, I'll just try and paint the fronts of those white, turn the boat over, and then try and paint the back part here, if you know what I mean. See how easy it goes when there's no paint on there? If I could just get a little closer to the hull there, or to the deck. There, I think I got it. No, this one same way. Well, it's not perfect, but I'll maybe put a little bit more on. Okay, let that dry now. Okay, now we're turned so that the stern is up. And the idea being is I can get at the back side of those little vents. They're not shaped the way they're supposed to be, but they do represent a vent. And as Andy said, it is answering their cries for detail. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, I got it on the deck. As you can see, I only made it worse when I tried to improve on things. So we'll just let that dry now, then come at it with the brown. Probably end up getting the brown up the vent.
Now the reason I do that is so that I can later synchronize up the two videos. I've got two cameras running at the same time here. And I just look for the three spikes in each audio file and slide the one to match the other, and then I've got it synced up. Yeah, it works for me. Might be a better way to do it, but like I say, this works for me.
Okay, the plan is to just very carefully try and work my way up to the life preserver. There. Now hopefully when that dries, we're not going to notice that it's a repair job. Now on this one here, I don't know if I'm going to make it better or worse. Oh my. Maybe that's too much. Oh, yeah, it's way too much. Well, maybe not. Maybe when that evaporates and shrinks, it might be okay. Unless it worked its way up this side here that we can't see. Anyway, we'll have to check this out tomorrow, because this video's come to an end. And you'll notice that I'm just about eating the lens here. That's why I have a tendency to whisper. I know I've talked about that before, but I did the two camera system thing here so that you can see, why I'm doing it. In the meantime, let's just hope for the best here. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.